Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show featuring Sundance and Slam Dance films coming to town, and I am excited to introduce to you Kitty Green. She is the director of The Face of Ukraine, casting Oksana Bayul. How are you this morning, Kitty?
Good.
It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Give me a little bit about your background. You're kind of split between, you're from Australia.
Yes.
And then your mother is a Ukrainian.
Yes.
Correct.
Well,
so,
yeah.
So we'll kind of describe how that relationship with the country, with Ukraine, came about in creating this film.
Yeah, well, my mom moved to Australia when she was very young, so I always wanted to go back to Ukraine to sort of find out more about my family there and discover my roots. So I went back a few years ago and I started working on, I met a crazy topless protest feminist movement in the streets of Kiev, and I worked with them and made a feature documentary about them called Ukraine is Not a Brothel, and that did a lot of festivals last year. And as I was traveling through all these festivals, the conflict started up, and it's been a really kind of horrific time in Ukraine's history, so I felt like it was important for us storytellers to get back there and to tell the stories of people right now when they're really suffering. So yeah, I went back to Ukraine late last year and worked with a bunch of young girls on this project about the face of Ukraine.
Let's talk about the plot, or rather, what is part of this film. Oksana Bayul, that's what obviously will stick out to many of us who remember her from the Olympics. Give us a little bit of backstory about what molded her into this national hero, if you will.
Yeah, so the film is basically like a casting reel for a young girl to play the role of Oksana Bayul, who's a famous figure skater. She won the gold medal in '94, and she was the first gold medal Olympian for an independent Ukraine after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So she's really a hero, like a national hero over there, and she's really respected. And we were looking for an inspirational story and a hopeful story in such troubled times, especially we were working with young children. So we wanted a story that they could like aspire to and go, okay, hey, there are good things that can happen and bright futures that we can have. So yeah, we focused on that. We got a lot of young girls to kind of perform the scene where Oksana Bayul wins the gold medal. So they were all dressed up and had great flowers and medals and teddy bears and got to play this scene where this young girl wins a gold medal and just sort of cries tears of joy at winning. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Tell me about casting for this and the relationships you have as a filmmaker, working with all the various facets to make this come together into a film.
It was sort of a process where we were working with a number of drama schools, and we were just playing around. It was a really uncertain time. In fact, we shot the day after MH17, the flight that came down over Ukraine, came down in a field in Donetsk, and the day after we started shooting. So everyone was on edge. Everyone was feeling very uncertain about their future, what would happen in the next few days, what would happen in the next few weeks or months. And so we were all just trying to, let's just have it a good time. Let's try and forget what's going on and just enjoy ourselves and make a story that's about the conflict. And the girls tell their story about where they've come from and their kind of experience of war, but also having a hopeful kind of ending to it, or kind of some kind of inspirational.
What do you hope people leave the theater feeling? What was your intent in putting this together?
I guess it was, I really wanted to paint, we'll sort of show the human side of this sort of conflict. We see a lot of it on the news, and you see a lot of shots of tanks, but you don't actually see how it's affecting, especially the children, but also just, you know, just on a human level, how people are responding to what's going on, how scared they are, what they think about their futures, and so yeah, we just wanted to talk to people and get a point of view that was much more intimate than the stuff you see on the news. And so I hope people learn a little bit more about Ukraine and what's happening over there by seeing the film.
What was one of your greatest challenges in sharing the story, something that clearly, due to the family ties, is close to you? What was a challenge that you dealt with in making sure that you were putting out there the representation that you wanted of Ukraine?
Yeah, when I arrived, I was very aware of how much propaganda there was, both for like the Russian side and sort of the Ukrainian sort of pro-Western side. And I was really scared. I didn't want to make a propaganda film, and so I was trying to avoid all that. And I guess by focusing on the children and just speaking to them about their lives and what was important to them, we managed to try and avoid that. So I guess what was important to me was to have something that was honest and that wasn't sort of advertising any sort of aspect of the war.
Right. You described to me earlier this film as a hybrid of sorts. It's kind of like a documentary, but kind of not. As a filmmaker, how did you balance that, or were you trying to, or what is a hybrid to those newer to film and wanting to know how that works?
Well, it's a documentary in essence because we're interviewing young girls and we're asking them real questions. Right. But it's also they're performing scenes, and it's very constructed, the whole nature of the film. So I guess it is almost like a narrative film, and then it plays out with that kind of structure, and that's sort of built into it. But at the same time, it's got these real, honest interviews. And yeah, so I guess I was interested in getting a bit of both.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about where we can go see it in Park City. I know it'll be over at the Yarrow, right across the parking lot from us.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good.
On the
it's
25th?
January 25th at 3 p.m. And I'm assuming, will you be at this one? Or the premiere?
I will be at the premiere, and we're screening with a bunch of other documentary shorts. Excellent. And it should be a good day, yeah.
Very good. Well, before I let you go, this is your first time in Utah.
Yes, it is.
What do you think of it so far? You haven't been here very long.
I just arrived last night, and it's freezing.
Freezing.
It's summer in Australia, but yeah, it's beautiful. I'd look forward to exploring more.
Do you snowboard?
I can snowboard, yeah. We have a little bit of snowboarding in Australia, very little, yeah.
That's great. Well, excited to have you here. Enjoy your time here.
Thank you so much.
It's such a fantastic opportunity, and thank you for being here with us, for sharing your thoughts with our viewers, and good luck during your time here.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Good. Kitty Green, the film is The Face of Ukraine, casting Oksana Bayul. It is 35 minutes after the hour. When we get back, we have more music as well as talking about the film Actresses. Don't go away.